Okay, we've just got under 2 minutes to go before markets open. Ambareesh Baliga is joining us this morning. Ambareesh, of course, we'll talk about this at length, but very quickly, before we actually hit opening, what are you anticipating on RIL and ONGC today?
RIL, ONGC is a small negative. I won't say it's a huge negative because this decision has been deferred but not declined. And clearly, I see this decision being taken post the elections once we have the new government. And there is no way you can keep the gas prices same. If you look at all the fuel prices, everything has moved up in the last 3 years. You really can't keep the gas prices same. So I feel that in case we see Reliance coming down, I think it's an opportunity to buy. Again, I don't see it coming down heavily, maximum possibly 3 or 4% from wherever it closed yesterday.
Okay, so Ambareesh is not expecting too much of a negative impact, Priyank, but that's clearly the focus area when it comes to trade today. Global cues have been muted as well. The SGX Nifty and pre-open have been indicating a muted start. On the screen, we've got just under 30 seconds to go before we kickstart trade. I wonder if we're going to manage to, at least trade somewhere around those live highs.
Well, let's hope so, because the market seems to be just consolidating a little bit after yesterday's huge run-up that we'd seen. Stocks that are on our radar today, you got the entire oil and gas back in focus on the back of that surprise move coming in. But remember, in the pre-open, you're seeing cuts of only 2 to 3% for a couple of these counters. As the move hasn't been cancelled out, it's only being deferred by a couple of months. So let's see how the oil and gas pack opens. The index down 31 points. Reliance Industries trading below 900, and it's a 3% cut there. ONGC right next to it, also taking a cut of almost 3.5% is what we're seeing. So straight away, those two counters start off on a weak note. GAIL also trading a little bit lower by nearly 1.2% is what we're tracking. So the oil and gas stocks are on the weaker note today. You got some of the other stocks on the radar as well. Bharti's trading weak by nearly 0.4%. Cesar Sterlite in negative. IT counters, Infi, TCS and Wipro all seeing some kind of cuts coming into trade today, and this trading a little bit low. But in fact, ONGC now down 4.5% is what we're seeing on that counter. Reliance still down 3. L&T is trading marginally lower. Coal India trading down by 0.3%, and it's cooling off. The markets are now just stabilizing a little bit because the strength is still pretty strong. ITC, HUL still in positive, banking counter stable, SBI and HDFC Twins are trading in positive, along with Axis Bank that's showing a good strength of 0.3%. It's only ICICI Bank that seems to be losing out. Sun Pharma and Cipla are getting some good traction today, so those two counters holding out. Power companies also like NTPC stand to gain on the back of the gas price being deferred, so that's NTPC is up roughly around 1%. You got Hero Moto and Cipla also showing some good strength, but all in all, it's the FMCG pack. ITC is the one to watch out for, 1.2% higher, and it's been having a stellar series. It's up almost 30% when we talk about the last 1 month or so. But that's the way the opening's panning out in terms of the Sensex right now. Let's just get a quick mention on Nifty for you as well. On that index, 6575, 32 stocks gaining, 18 odd stocks losing out. Let's talk about the losers for you, because that's predominantly from the oil and gas pack. There you go, ONGC 4.2, Reliance 3, GAIL 1%, Wipro and TCS from the IT pack are some of the other losers. JP Associates, deleveraging process continues out there. Once again, they've gone ahead and sold some stake in one of their units. NMDC 1.2%. Brokerages have been upgrading the counter ever since that analyst meet took place. ITC is up 1%. Ranbaxy and Ultratech are a couple of the other gainers. But so far, it's turning out to be not a bad session after that huge rally yesterday. And in spite of the pressure on the oil and gas pack, the Nifty is down just 6 to 7 points.
That's right, not a bad start at all, and we'll discuss that with Ambareesh in a moment. Quick look at some of the mid-caps as well. Again, fairly flat in mid-cap index too. We do have some pressure coming in on stocks like a Blue Dart or Indiabulls Power. MRPL is down about 2.5% as well. Alstom also on the downside this morning. So plenty of stocks that are taking a little bit of a cut. On the upside though, we've got a few smaller stocks like for example, a Honeywell that are actually moving up in trade. Let me just get you some more names. Rashtra Chemicals as well. Gujarat Gas, that's actually moving up. Edelweiss is higher as well in trade, as is an SKS or a Trend. So at the moment though, it's pretty flat when it comes to the mid-cap pack. No clear movement coming in, at least when it comes to that particular space either. No dramatic moves. Let's go across to Ambareesh. Ambareesh, there was a big question mark as to whether or not we'll be able to sustain these levels given weak global cues and of course the oil and gas news as well. But so far so good. What are you expecting going ahead? Do you see us entering into a consolidation phase, profit booking or further highs?
I've been talking of a pre-election rally, I think, for the last couple of months. Although it started late, I think it started off very well. And we are clearly on our way to levels of possibly 6,800 plus. It's very much possible that we could also see 7,000 in case there's euphoria. So over the next month and a half, clearly I think the direction is up. We could have some correction, some consolidation, but that will be for a very short while. But the direction clearly is up, and we will see. Quite a few mid cap and small caps also moving. Along with the large caps. Yesterday, we saw the index moving up sharply, but the breadth was negative. I think rest of the stocks will also catch up now, possibly over the next few days, and next moving up.
Ambareesh, the other one that we're tracking, just moving away from the entire the stocks that are actually trading weak. It's the JP Associate one. 1% gain coming in on that count, and the deleveraging process continues out here. Any thoughts on it?
Because of deleveraging, whichever companies are going for deleveraging, cleaning as a balance sheet, you surely see those stocks moving up. But then again, we should remember that they are selling off jewels. So from that point of view, I'll not consider that as an investment bet. But from a trading point of view, looking at the mood on the street, yes, I think it can move up. So you should use it as a trading bet and not as an investment buy.
Well, I just want to pull up the oil and gas counters as well. As far as that space is concerned, you got some weakness coming in. ONGC still trading weak by 4. You got Reliance down 3.2, and GAIL also trading weak by almost 1% is what we're seeing. It's a sentiment hit on all these counters. Oil India beyond the index also is trading lower by nearly 2.5%. In fact, we're also getting some more updates, as you can see on the ticker as well, from government sources. Ashpreet has been picking up some details out there. Ashpreet, what are they saying regarding this entire surprise coming in from the EC regarding gas price hike?
Well, yes, as we are learning from our government sources here is that the government is not planning to move the Supreme Court against the Election Commission's decision of deferring gas price hike till the polls end. In fact, they said that they will go by what the Supreme Court has to say in the matter. Remember, there's no stay given by the Supreme Court as far as gas price hike is concerned. Gurudas Dasgupta had moved a PIL challenging the gas price hike and the way alleging that companies are being benefited by it. Remember, EC had deferred the gas price hike, saying that the next government should take the decision, which has been the petitioner's argument in the court. The government is planning to go by what the hearing happens today in the Supreme Court, but in all likelihood, what we hear from the legal circle is that petitioners Prashant Bhushan and Gurudas Dasgupta are also going to request the Supreme Court to stay the gas price hike, saying that the EC has also deferred it. So let's see what happens in the case. Back to you.
All right, Ashpreet, thanks for getting us those updates as what we're just picking up right now. So probably the government also is not really going to go ahead and approach or take it up is what we're picking up right now. Ambareesh, clearly 3% cuts coming in as far as some of these big stocks are concerned, like Reliance Industries and ONGC and some of the key beneficiaries as well of the gas price hike. But would you look at these stocks at lower levels, or would you wait it out?
Absolutely. I think that's what I said a bit earlier, that we should see a cut of about 3 or 4%, not much more than that. So at lower levels, clearly it's a buy, especially Reliance, because I see this gas price hike coming as soon as we have the new government in place. So we should look at it possibly around June, July. I think we should have a price hike. So based on that, you will again have these stocks starting to move up. Once this news wears off to a certain extent, you will again see Reliance moving up.
And the other one, Ambareesh, and this one's been more from the topic that we haven't discussed that much of the FMCG pack, and that's ITC. If you talk about the last 1 month itself, or this series for that matter, it's had a decent run. I'll just pull up the 1 month performance for you as well, and for the viewers to just get a quick update as to how the stocks actually panned out. It's had a good run. I mean, take a look at that. That's 13 to 14% gains coming in a market, Ambareesh, where the cyclicals were pretty much in favor. What's your call on ITC?
ITC is one of those few consumer stocks where I was quite bullish on for quite a while. And even now, normally during election period, you have the consumer demand shooting up for whatever reason because of the sort of cash which is thrown in the system. And ITC again, yesterday there was some positive news of them getting out of the shampoo business, which was some sort of a drag for the company. So that's also been taken positively. So overall, I think even at these levels, one could look at buying ITC.
Banking names as well. I mean, they've been in a different trajectory altogether. Ambareesh, is what we've seen. I mean, a couple of these private sector banks, the way they've run up, the public sector banks catching up a little bit. Are you betting on these? Is that something that investors should look at?
I think investors should look at the private sector banks where the balance sheet quality is much better. PSU space, we still have concerns regarding NPAs.
Okay.
But in this pre-election rally, you will have most of them, I mean the underdogs moving up. So based on that, you will have the PSU space also moving up because, like the way they were quoting in the last couple of weeks. So because of which you will have these stocks moving up. But again, I would say PSU is more of a trading bet till the elections. But I think from an investment point of view, you should still look at the private sector banks, especially HDFC, Axis, and the smaller ones, I think you should look at IndusInd and DCB.
All right, so that's the call on banking. Ambareesh, you mentioned the broader markets as well. Just take us through some of your picks there, because you said you have been looking at also making sure that you're present in that part of the market. Where do you see the value?
In fact, we see value in capital goods space. Again, the mid-cap space, I would still repeat the same old stocks which I've been talking of for quite a while, Crompton Greaves and Voltas. Although we have seen close to about 25-30% move in the past few weeks, we still see both these stocks going to levels of 180 plus. In the other infra stocks, we are looking at ILFS transportation, because roadways is something where we see a lot of action once you have the new government in place. Among the other financials other than what we just discussed, I think IDFC is a great buy at the current levels. Looking at the banking license, I think they are one of the front runners. And the stock also hasn't really moved up very much from the lower levels. I think the low which we saw was about 90. From there, it has just moved about 20-25%. We still see levels of about 140, 145 for that stock.
IT stocks is the other weak pocket beyond the oil and gas pack that's losing out today. Wipro, TCS, Ambareesh, all these counters seeing a little bit of a cut is what we're seeing. Any thoughts on this pack as well? Because, I mean, this has been the classical, buy on dip strategy that we'd seen for the last year itself. But the way the currency's been panning out and the kind of moves that we've been picking up on a couple of these counters, would you buy them at lower levels?
I think the management commentary which came in the recent past has been a dampener for these stocks, and also the way the rupee is moving, and it's expected that rupee will strengthen once you have a stable government in place. Clearly, these would be surely negative for these stocks, but then still, if you're looking at slightly longer term, there's a lot of value. So I would say that, the downside which you're seeing now is an opportunity to buy these stocks for the core portfolio. Clearly, I think the strategy should be two-pronged for investors at this point of time. You should build your core portfolio right now when these stocks are down, especially IT. And when you have some weakness in pharma, I think these are the two pockets to be bought into. If you have not bought them in the last 1.5 years and missed out on the rally. And secondly, from a trading point of view, I think one should look at the cyclicals in the high beta stocks, which will move up in the pre-election period. So utilize this opportunity and get into these stocks. But remember to exit just before elections, because you can never take a clear call on who will win and who will not, despite the opinion polls. Because I think we should remember in 2004 that people were very sure that one specific party will come into power, but that did not happen. So I would say don't take a chance on elections. Utilize the rally and exit to a certain extent from your trading portfolio. But the core portfolio would be election agnostic. So that to be held on for much longer term.
Ambareesh, fair enough. Thanks for joining in this morning and getting us that perspective in terms of markets and the outlook as far as a couple of these stocks are concerned. But about the bottom line today being the fact that in spite of the kind of pressure that we've seen for some of these oil and gas counters, take a look at the way markets are actually panning out. As we wrap up this edition of Street Smart itself, they're actually moved into positive after somewhat of a slow start, at least on the Nifty, because it's once again the banking names that are running ahead.
That's where we leave it on Street Smart this morning. Up next in business, do stay tuned.